raining out here. How am I supposed to do my lesson? Hey guys. I know it's the last live stream of the season, but it's raining a lot out here. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Rain's kind of moving around. Hold on. Oh no. Yeah, it's just raining everywhere, guys. I don't know what we're supposed to do. I'm supposed to do this live stream, so I decided I'll go outside. We'll pick this nice, like kind of outdoorsy scene that we'll do the live stream from. But as soon as I started getting closer to here, it just started pouring. It's been raining nonstop. I didn't even bring an umbrella, and my board's getting wet. Hold on. This is not good. What do I do? So much rain everywhere. Okay, I think I'm going to move my board back just a little bit. Move the board back just a little bit. So let's go back. Let's go closer inside of this. Let's go closer inside of this area here. Just gonna move my board back. Hold on. I'm moving my board back, guys. Okay. All right. I moved my board back. Come on, guys. I'm doing my best. I moved my board back just a little bit, so now we're out of the rain. It's still raining in front of me right now, but fortunately it's not going to mess up our stream. And maybe I'll move the board back out again, so get some more fresh air, more sunlight, maybe as it gets a little bit later in the stream. Oh, Tegi. Hey, Tegi. Tegi, thanks for the $2. 안녕하세요, Billy. How are you? I am pretty good. Yeah, fortunately, it's getting the board wet, but this is pretty waterproof ink we're using here. Nothing but the best for Go Billy Korean, am I right? So we got the best technology here. Oh, the sun's coming out a little bit more too. Whoa. Okay, that's good. We can work with that. Oh, Shar. Shar. Charmander. 야, Shar. 안녕하세요. 이 비디오가 기대됩니다. 하지만 이해할 수 없을 것 같아요. Okay, I'm looking forward to this video, but I don't think I'll be able to understand it. Well, today's lesson is going to be high intermediate level. So, it's okay if you're intermediate. It's okay if you're beginner. It's okay if you just learn Hangul. You can stick around and have some fun. But the actual lesson, the meat of today's video is going to be high intermediate. So some of you will be very happy because we only get maybe one intermediate topic for every 4 beginner topics. So this is actually an intermediate topic. But others of you might think this is a bit difficult. So don't feel bad if you don't grasp today's concept. But at the very least, even if you're a beginner, you can still learn how this form works, even if you can't use it correctly yourself. At least you can be able to learn how to understand it and how to recognize it. So if you see it, you can kind of get the idea of what it means, even if you can't use it yourself. So just keep that in mind. So you don't have to leave if you're not intermediate, but you'll definitely get most out of the lesson if you are intermediate level. The prerequisites for today's lesson are going to be that you know beginning grammar. So I'm not going to sugarcoat that. You should know beginning grammar in order to really grasp this concept, to be able to use it. You need to know all the beginning grammar. Now, if you're like, oh, I don't know, is this beginning grammar? I'm not sure. It is beginning grammar. So if you're at that phase where you're not really sure what is, what's beginner and what's advanced, at least then you're probably still in the beginning level. So you want to make sure you have all that beginning level stuff done. So that's basic, basic conjugations, how to use verbs, how to put together sentences, how to connect sentences together, conjugating verbs. That type of stuff is all within the beginner level. So you want to make sure you have that down for today's lesson. You also want to be especially familiar with how to conjugate action verbs into adjectives. So I've written an example up here. 하다 becoming 한, past tense, 하는, present tense, 할 in the future tense, like that. So you want to be able to make sure you can not only conjugate that, but know what that actually means. So if you were to say like something, 한 시간, time, or 하는 시간, or 할 시간, what would be the difference in connotation between those 3 meanings? Because that has to do with just using this form. And you want to make sure you're familiar with sentence connectors, as I mentioned. So you want to know all the basic ones, 고, 지만, 대, 는데, all those forms. Specifically, you also want to make sure you're familiar with the 서 connector, as well as I recommend the 지 connector, although this one's a little less used, but still sometimes like the, 지 at the end of things. Not 지 as a verb ending, but 지 as a connector. So this would be in forms like 많은지, 했는지, that type of stuff. Not 했지, 춥지, not that kind of 지. So this is the sentence connector 지, which is different. It means whether or if, kind of like that. Okay. Welcome everyone. Let's just see who's here in the stream. Sure. Small, welcome. Life for Rhymes. Oh, welcome, Life for Rhymes. I haven't seen you talk too much, but I just saw your name pop up. I'm like, I don't recognize that name, and it's you already have the Sejong icon, so welcome. Oh, Simon. 오랫동안 안 들었어요. Oh, Simon L. Thank you. Oops. Dropped my pen here. Let's do a dab for Simon. Yeah, I do have some news about that. So if you're wondering, am I going to Korea this year? The answer is maybe. So some people have been wondering, like, what's up with my Korea trip? Am I still going to Korea? Right now, no. So I might go later if things get better. I'll wait and see. Maybe I'll wait and see another month or so. And if things get better, then maybe I'll do a trip later. But as of right now, I'm not. And don't worry, if you're here and you're wondering when does the lesson start, you're like, get on with it, Billy. It's going to start after 5 minutes at 2 o'clock as scheduled. Lauren Wilson, 안녕하세요, welcome. Let's see who else is here. Of course, Tegi. Yes. Yeah, there will be some different people here because obviously many people are stuck at home, can't do anything. So that's fine. Welcome. Yes. So a few announcements, though, before we get started. As always, you can get a worksheet of the live stream right now from Patreon. So if you're a Patreon member, get the worksheet for today's live stream. You can use it while we go through the stream. It has extra sentences that I had to cut due to time. So whenever I prepare every lesson, I always prepare a plethora of example sentences. I prepare plenty of example sentences, way more than I'd be able to cover during a live stream. And then I take some of the most simple ones that I think illustrate the point that I want to make the best, and I'll put those in the lesson that I teach during the live stream. And all of the extra ones, I don't want to throw them away. They're good sentences. I'll put all of those on the worksheet. So you'll get extra examples on the worksheet. Sometimes those examples will be simpler than what we cover during the live stream, but a lot of times they'll be more difficult. They'll be like the next level than what we cover during the live stream. So if you want more out of every lesson, make sure to get the worksheets. They're available for every Patreon donor, even the $1 tier. Also, the outlines for the live streams are also all available on Patreon. And today's live stream outline will also be up there as soon as today's lesson finishes. The other announcement I wanted to make is remember that you can always keep up to date with what I'm doing, new videos, new projects. You can make requests for new topics. You can practice Korean, everything on our official GoBilly Discord. So make sure to join that. That's completely free. If you are a member, though, you get access to the member-only channel, but the regular channels are all completely free. Anyone can join them. And again, this is the last live stream of the season because normally I'll take a break between April and June for when I go to Korea. So normally I don't do classes during that time. I might do live stream Q&As, but I won't do classes because I won't have my whiteboard. I won't have my whiteboard when I go to Korea or any of this stuff that I use. So yeah, there's going to be a break. So this is the last live stream of the season. It is not the last stream. It's not the last one forever. And it's not the last one this year. It's just the last one for the season. And then I need to take a break. So I'll talk about that after the live stream too. Arlie. Benitez? Benitez? Is it Benitez? Benitez. Arlie Benitez. Thank you. The $5 donation. I'll do a $5 dab. Oh wait, you can get something better than that. Let's see. Let's do the stars. No. That's my lamp. Oops. All right. Thank you for the donation. And let's see what else. Lazy. 왜 제가 lazy? 공부하다 vocab. What are you trying to say, Blue Cuisine? 마지막 레슨이어서 제가 슬픈 사람이. I'm a sad person since this is Go Billy's last lesson. It's not my last lesson, I said. It's the last of the season, right? So between seasons, there's always a break. There should be, right? You know, there's got to be a break so I can figure out what we can do differently or better for the next season. If you've been following me since my very first live streams, you'll know we've changed a lot over the seasons. It went from broadcasting on the forward view on my cell phone to now we're doing like rainy day broadcasting with plenty of example sentences and doing voting for topics and everything. You know, it's transformed a lot. So I have to think about that a lot. What do I want to do differently for the next season? What would you guys like? What would you like to be better for future live streams? And I will always keep improving them. So let me know whether it's, you know, having dabs for donations, special reactions for when we get donations and songs and, you know, everything that you guys want. If just throw it out there. If there's anything you can imagine that you'd want to make the live streams better, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Okay. Tegi asks, how do you pronounce A? Well, hold that question. We're going to have a short Q&A after the lesson. So please ask it again then. You can even tag me in case I don't see it. And yeah, I can help you with that. All right. So as well as any other general questions. Someone also asked, 안녕하세요 and 안녕하십니까? Any general questions, save those. If they're not related to today's topic, save them to the end of the lesson and I will do a short Q&A where you can ask any of that stuff. Okay, but we got to get started now. It is 2 o'clock. So let's get started with the topic. Okay, we're going to be talking about a form, I even said it wrong. We're going to be talking about the form 지경이다. Now, I'm going to first tell you how you conjugate it, and then we'll talk about what it is and how to use it. So you take a verb stem. This can be any verb, and you're going to attach if it ends in a consonant. I'll just write C, or just a lir, this letter, if it ends in a vowel. So something like 하다, ha would become 할, and 먹다, 먹, with 기역 at the bottom would become 먹을. Okay, pretty easy, right? Just take a verb stem. Now, this doesn't have to be an action verb stem. It's just verb stem. I didn't say action verb. It could be descriptive verb as well. And then you attach 지경. Now, there's going to be a space. So there's a space after here. And then you attach 지경이다. Now, this 이다 is just the regular to be 이다. So you'll conjugate that to 입니다, 이에요, 이었어요 in past tense, or whatever you want to conjugate it to. And that's all you have to do to use it. This actually has several meanings. Now, the main meaning that you'll find for this, if you search online grammar lessons, the main meaning you'll find for this form is on the verge of. Like, he is on the verge of doing something, or we are on the verge of something. You know, I'm on the verge of crying, like that kind of thing. But this form does not mean on the verge of. In fact, it only translates as that in some situations. There are many other ways you can translate this, and there are a lot of places also that it does not translate to on the verge of, where that translation would just make no sense. So you have to actually learn what this form literally means so that you can understand how it's used, because it doesn't always mean on the verge of. 지경. Now, when I was preparing for this lesson, I remember learning about this form and just, I knew what this form means, but I always prepare example sentences and, detailed explanations for these live streams. So when I was researching this, I found that most sources just call it on the verge of, but that will be a very awkward translation, in fact, in most cases. So let's talk about this form, 지경. 지경 is a noun. Now, this is a regular Korean noun. 지경 means a few different things. First of all, it means the boundary. It means like a boundary between two areas, right? You have like a boundary between two states or a boundary between something. So literally you can think that this form means to be on the boundary of doing something. So if you were to take die, 죽다, right? 죽다, 죽을, 지경이다. To be on the verge of dying. Okay? To be on the verge of dying. Literally. To be on the boundary of dying. So in that sense, to be on the verge of is a literal translation of this form that I think works in a lot of cases. But 지경 doesn't only mean boundary. So actually, before I tell you the next meaning, just let this simmer. Just think about this for a second. 지경 can mean a few things. One of its meanings is boundary. So if you say something 지경이다, you're saying to be 이다 on the boundary of doing verb. So verb boundary, to be on the verb boundary, literally, or to be on the verge of. If you were to use this in English, you might say, I'm on the verge of tears, right? 울다, to cry becomes just 울, because 울 is the verb stem, and it already ends with the lir, so you just do 울, you're done. 울 지경이다, I'm on the verge of tears, as we'd say in English, I'm on the verge of crying. Literally, I am on the boundary, or it is on the boundary right now, of crying. So you haven't cried yet, but you're right there. You are right at the boundary of doing something, whether that's dying or crying or anything. So in that sense, this form is quite easy if you think of it like that. But to make things a little harder, 지경 doesn't only 지경 doesn't only mean boundary. It actually has another meaning too. That is a circumstance. Circumstance or a condition of something. But let's just think of it as a circumstance. So you have a circumstance as in a situation. Like those are the circumstances. Those are the conditions of something that happened. And this meaning can make it a little bit more vague. Oh, hold on. Oh, Grandpa Mike. Grandpa Mike. Thank you. Grandpa Mikey, actually. I just like saying Mike, okay? I just think Mike sounds a lot more fun. Grandpa Mike, thank you. Let's do a dab party. Thank you for the donation. Grandpa BK. Okay. Yes. So, it also can mean the circumstances of something, like the conditions of something that happened. The situation of something. That just sort of vague meaning of circumstances. Now, we will talk about this, so don't worry. I know it sounds... Boundary, I believe boundary is quite easy to understand, but I think hearing it can also mean circumstance makes it, at least for me, this made it a bit confusing for me when I first learned this, that it doesn't literally only mean boundary, but it can also mean the circumstances of something. So when you are saying something with 죽을, so 죽다, to die, 지경, you could be saying, I'm at the boundary of dying, right? I'm just about to die. I'm on the verge of dying. Or it could mean the circumstances are, the conditions right now are that I'm going to die. Literally, okay? The circumstances are such that I'm going to cry. The conditions right now, the condition that I'm in right now, the circumstances of what's going on are such that I am going to do something. That's what this form can also literally mean. So you might think it's about the same. Well then, what's the difference between saying that, like circumstances are that I'm going to cry, or the boundary is that I'm on the verge of crying? It's kind of the same, right, Billy? Literally, no. But when you translate it, it can seem almost the same thing. But keep this in mind because this will help when we see this form used with other tenses. This will help it be easier to translate in our heads. But just think about this for right now. 지경 can mean a boundary or circumstances like that. But this form doesn't only mean this. So there's another thing we have to look at. And this is why today's lesson is high intermediate and not beginner. Because if it's just this, 지경이다 means on the verge of. Well, that would be like beginner at most. When we translate this form, let's see, how are we on time? Of course, bad. Okay, let me give you some translations for this form. Now that I've talked about how this form is used literally, let's talk about how it actually translates in English. So first we have on the verge of, right? And you guys could probably understand that if you think about how 지경 means a boundary. On the verge of doing something. Well, it could also mean to the point of doing something, right? Like if you're on the verge of crying, you're sad to the point of crying, to the point of dying. You know, it kind of means the same thing. This is just another way you can translate it, but you might see this as a translation. So on the verge of doing something or to the point of doing something. You know what? Those both also can mean something like this. Nearly. Like I'm nearly about to cry or I'm nearly going to do it. Same thing, right? You're right there. You're right on the boundary. You're right on the verge or the point of doing something. These are just some other ways to translate it, okay? So hopefully if you see these three, you can kind of think of how like, oh, okay, I see, like, it's the same thing literally, but it has many different translations. There is one more translation, though, that might sound a bit different, but is actually also the same thing. And this is the translation that I wish every resource taught, but unfortunately, most of them don't. To the degree that, specifically the word that. So much that, to the degree that. Now, this will often translate as simply, let me say this again. This form, 지경이다, can also translate just as the word that. That, like so much that. So tired that. That's sort of that. Literally, to the degree that. Now, how does it mean that? We just talked about how it means like on the verge of, like here we have okay, this isn't California anymore. This is some state, some random state. Okay, here we have two states, right? And here's the border. Here's the 지경. You know, it's a word, one of the words to say a border, you know, some sort of verge between two things. So now here we have the verge. So if you're here's the state, one state is called dying, okay? Let's just use the example of dying. So die. And now here you're alive. You're alive in this state, but you get right to here. So you're on the border. The situation is that you are going to die. You are on the border of dying, like that. This is just our example. I'm sorry if you don't like the example of die. I just think it's really easy to conjugate. In fact, it's used commonly with this grammar form, which you'll find out. So you're right here. Well, you're doing something so much that, or in such a way that, you got right here. That's how this can also mean to the degree that. So if that doesn't quite make sense, just learn that this form can also translate in many situations as to the degree that. So if you're ever translating it and it doesn't quite make sense with on the verge of, try swapping the translation to the degree that, to the degree. Try swapping the translation to the degree that and seeing if that sounds better. It probably will. These are the two of the most common translations you'll see, on the verge of or to the degree that. But in the end, it's all kind of the same meaning. You're getting right up to the border of something happening. Right up there. It didn't happen yet, but it's going to happen. You're right there. You just like move your head like this and it happens. Like you're really close to the border. Okay. Hopefully that made sense. We got to do some example sentences. But before we do, I also have to say something else about this form. So I'm going to erase this. Let's see. Okay, 13. All right. Now, this isn't just used to mean that you're about to do something. It literally is. Just you're about to do something, okay? However, when is this used? Is this used whenever you want to say you're about to do something like, oh, hey, I'm about to go do the laundry. I'm on the verge of doing the laundry. No, you don't say on the verge of in English for every situation either. In English, we have specific situations where you say on the verge of. You can say on the verge of dying or on the verge of discovering something, right? Well, in Korean, they specifically only use this grammar form when they're saying that something negative, something bad is going to happen. Something bad or negative, By that, I don't mean negative verb. I just mean something negative as in not positive, not good. Something bad will happen. Now, does this mean you can never use 지경이다 with anything that's not bad? No, but it's almost always used to show some sort of negative thing that's going to happen. So, also, by the way, 지경 can also be a person's name. Just kind of a random thought. Okay, it's not common though. All right, so something bad will happen. So whenever you're using 지경이다, it's going to be used together with a verb that means something bad, something you don't want. So what verbs would that be? It'll be verbs that show something is difficult or stressful. For example, it could be die, like we had, which is why I gave you that as an example. Something like 울다, to cry, 죽다, to die. Now, 죽다, it's not only die. This can be attached to other verbs. So keep this in mind. This is not only die. Literally, it is die. When used in sentences, this is used in a lot of idiomatic expressions too, which you'll see. We'll give you a few in this lesson. So something 죽다. For example, you could say 배고파 죽겠다. I am so hungry, I could die. Well, that's how you say you're starving. Or you can say, or you could say you're so bored, you're bored to death, right? Those sort of idiomatic expressions don't really mean you're going to die. It's just used that way to show something is extreme. Okay, so 울다, 죽다, but that's not it. Other things like 포기하다, to give up. And then let's see how, okay, I can write it here. Okay, other things like 넘어지다, like fall over, as in like collapse. 쓰러지다, like fainting over, collapsing. 넘어지다 means to fall down. So like if you tripped and fell, you'd say 넘어졌어요, 넘어지다. 쓰러지다 is like, fainting, kind of like falling back, falling over. So these types of things, like it's so difficult, so that it's so hard or so stressful, something's negative. Well, what bad thing is going to happen? I'm going to cry. I'm going to die, literally. Die. I'm going to give up. I'm going to fall over. I'm going to collapse. That sort of meaning. So write down these specific verbs. Now, these are not the only verbs that's used with, but these are the most common ones that you'll see it with, especially 울다 and 죽다. You'll see it with 울다 and 죽다 all the time, but you could also see it with these ones and others. So yeah, write down these ones. I'll leave these up for a second. And I should say, this 지경이다 form, one more thing, while you're writing these down, the form 지경이다. Let me see if I have any sentences with it like that. 잘 날아갈 한 가락 많은지 젓가락 Okay, I don't have any examples with it in here, although I believe the worksheet might. You might also see this conjugated with past tense verbs. By that I mean this. So instead of 하다 becoming 할, 하다 could become 한. And instead of 먹다 becoming 먹다 could become, instead of 먹을, it could become 먹은 지경이다, 한 지경이다, like that. You can also see it used like that, which is why you do not want to think of this as only meaning on the verge of, because then it won't make any sense. Literally, you'll think on the verge of I did something, past tense, not on the verge of I will do something, but on the verge of I did something. Well, no, it doesn't mean that. It just means it came to the situation, the circumstances were such that I nearly did something. So that's kind of what it means. We're not going to talk about that for today's lesson. Just letting you know, you might see this form also used with past tense verbs. And it helps if you think about the literal meaning of 지경, as we talked about before. So much that, right? Nearly that sort of translation. So think of this as meaning the other translations that I talked about and not just the one that I gave you. I'm sorry, not just on the verge of. And it'll help you understanding it better because you sometimes will see it used with past tense. It's not common, but you can. Just in case if you've seen in past tense and your head suddenly explodes, you're like, wait, I thought this was about to, on the verge of something. No, it can also be so much that, or to the point that, or as I said, to the degree that, like that. Okay. So let's do our first sentence. How are we on time? Okay, we are actually not too bad. All right. Let's bring out our friend 철수. 철수가 일. So 철수's gonna not be working. Obviously, we bring out 철수. We talk about work. It's gonna be 철수's not doing any work as usual. Okay. 철수가 일을 너무 so much 안 하고. So he's not working so much. He's not doing any work. 있어서 because he is not doing work at all. 너무 안 하다. Literally to not do too much. But that's to not do it all. Like he's way not doing anything. He should be working, but he's not working. But not only is he not working, he's really not working way too much. Kind of in that sense. So he's really not working at all. So because of that, 잘리다 means to be fired. It's passive tense. But it's actually pronounced as 잘리다 with 잘리다. But it's not spelled this way. It's spelled as 잘리다, like that. Just keep that in mind. You'll hear people say 잘리다, but they'll write 잘리다. So yeah. So he's not working so much that 잘릴. Okay, now I have to erase this. So hopefully you guys wrote down some of these. But it's okay. If you didn't write them down, you'll see these in our examples. 잘릴 지경이다. So now it's going to be past tense for our example. 이었어요. So I'm not going to tell you what this means. I want you guys to write in the chat what this means. Because I want to know if I need to do any additional explanation for this form or if you guys kind of got it. So let me know what you think. Tiffany Stay, does it have the same meaning of 뻔하다? Nope. Not at all. That's when you almost do something, but you didn't. And then you stopped. Like I almost died. It doesn't mean you got to the point of dying and didn't die. It's not the same thing for that. That would be something that's unintentional also. Like I almost missed my meeting. This is not, if you were to use it with this form, that means I was on the verge of missing my meeting. It doesn't mean, or I was so late that to the extent that I was missing my meeting, like that sort of thing. It doesn't have the same meaning as 뻔하다. Neither does it mean the same thing as 거의, almost, or 려던 참이다. If you want to ask about those things at the end, you can feel free. Charsu isn't working so little they're about to be fired. Yeah, small. Charsu was doing nothing to the point he was almost fired. Okay. Yeah. And it's not that he was almost fired. It's not that he was. It's not that that situation is gone so much. Like, was almost fired means, well, he didn't get fired, but he got up to that point where he was going to get fired. This is saying Charsu was at the point where he's going to get fired. Just he was there. That's it. Not that let me try to think of a better way to explain this. Charsu, okay, we got the first part. Charsu was really not working. Charsu was not working so much that he was on the border, he was on the verge of being fired as a result. And because we're using 지경, we're also showing that there's going to be something negative happening. Well, what negative thing is happening here? 잘리다, to be fired. So the verge of being fired, or so much that, to the degree that he would be fired. Not that he was fired. That but to the degree that he would have been. Like he's not working at all, so he's going up all the way to the point of being fired. So let's draw these. We have our two countries again, and here's the border. And here's this country is 잘리다, the 잘리다 nation. And 철수 gets all the way up to here. So that's what it means. In fact, 철수 wasn't working so much that he got all the way up to here. He didn't get fired, but he was right about to get fired. Not that he just was almost fired. It's a different type of connotation. Not that he almost got fired, like, oops, almost got fired. No, he was right here. This close to being fired. This close to being fired. That's what it means. On the verge of doing. So he was on the verge of being fired. Right there. Because he's not working at all. He was just watching YouTube videos when he should have been working. So, 철수가 일을 너무 안 하고 있어서 잘릴 지경이었어요. So 철수 wasn't working so much. He wasn't working at all, so he was on the verge of getting fired. I think I'm going to draw these little country border things for each of our examples to help kind of illustrate how this means. Okay. We'll do some more and you'll kind of see how it can be different. So in case you're thinking, oh, it sounds very similar to me with 번하다 or any of the other forms. So see some more examples. It might seem literally like it has a similar meaning as those. And in some cases, it seems very similar. In other ones, it doesn't even sound anything alike. So yeah, be careful with that. A lot of forms in Korean can, at some points, seem to be interchangeable with other forms, but at other points, completely not. So it's not good to think of it as an equivalent of any other form. Because it might be in some cases like, oh yeah, it kind of sounds okay here. Oh, kind of sounds okay. Like I could use the 고 ending or the 서 ending here. Okay, but that doesn't mean the forms are the same, even if you could swap them in one case. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's do another example. Another one, 너무. You'll notice that 너무 or some sort of emphatic adverb will come with a lot of these examples with 지경, because remember that I said it's used for things that are negative or bad. So you're going to see a lot of this sort of emphatic usage, like, oh, it's so hard, it's too difficult, really didn't work, that sort of thing. 너무 힘들어서. 힘들다 meaning to be difficult. So therefore, as a result of it being too difficult, let's pull out our 죽다 verb, to die. 죽을 지경. And let's do past tense again. Okay. 이었어요. Okay. So, 죽을 지경. It was so difficult, I was on the verge of dying. Literally. Or, nearly, right? So you get right up here to the border of the 죽다 country. So if you want to make a country name in Korea, you can also stick 국 to the end, like 한국, like that, 중국, 죽다국, if you want to make the death country. Anyway, so this is the to die country, 죽다. And you get all the way up to here. So you didn't die, you didn't enter, but you are right there. You're looking it right in the face. You were this close to dying. 너무 힘들어서 죽을 지경이었어요. It was so hard, it was so difficult that I nearly died. Or I was on the verge of dying. Literally, sure. I was on the border of dying. The circumstances were such that I would die. The circumstances were such that, so the circumstances, this border I was on, was such that I was going to die. Or it was so difficult to the degree that. Now remember, when I said you translate it, you don't need to translate it literally. You don't need to write down to the degree that when you translate it. You don't have to say it was so difficult to the degree that I nearly died. You don't have to say it like that. You can just say so difficult that I was going to die, or even I thought I was going to die, something like that, just to show the extent of how difficult it was. Well, it was so hard that I got right up to the border of death. It was so hard that, to the degree that, I was going to die. That's sort of literal meaning. So it was so hard, I thought I was going to die might even work. Even though there is no word thought or think in the sentence at all. It could mean that, right? If you imagine that you get right to the border of here and stop, then how would you describe that in English? I was at the border of dying. You could say I was on the verge of dying. I was to the point of dying, or I nearly died, sure. But you can express that in other ways in English too. Like, oh, I thought I was going to die, or I nearly died. I was this close to dying. Those sort of expressions work fine in English too. And that's why this form can be a bit tricky, because there's no one translation for it. You can translate it in a myriad, in a lot of different ways in English. So just keep it in mind. Keep in mind how it literally is translated, and that will help you think of a more natural translation in English when you use it. So, 너무 힘들어서 죽을 지경이었어요. It was so hard that I nearly died. Let's see. Can I give you guys the next one? Let's see if this is one I can give you. Oh, okay, here we go. I want you guys to use this form to make this sentence. I'm not going to give you a literal translation. I'm going to give you a perfect natural English translation. Do your best. How would you translate this form into Korean? And you are going to use 지경이다 to do it. Just give it a try. I think it'll be fun to see if you guys can do this. So I'm starving to death. And then we're going to talk about it. And while you guys are writing that, you got a minute. And the one and only is got it. That was fast. Okay. Maybe you already know this form, or maybe you don't, and you just got it either way. Okay. 배고파서 죽을 지경이에요. Okay, Augustus. It's a more literal version, but that's fine. Let's see. Grandpa Mikey. Is it normal for super stickers not to show? Oh, yeah. Grandpa Mikey. Super stickers show only in the chat. But I didn't see a super sticker. I got your $10 donation, if that's what you're talking about. I thought that's even flashed on the screen. If you did another donation, then it didn't go through. In excess of that. Because it would have showed in the chat, even if it doesn't show on the board. The stickers, however, do not light up the board, but I still see them. So I'll make them light up manually if anyone does super stickers. Okay, let's see. 배고파서 배고파 죽겠다. Yep, Korean drama clips. 배고파 죽겠다. That's just saying that's just one way of saying I'm starving to death, but that's not using our grammar form today. You wrote 배고 아파서. That means kind of incorrect, but if you're saying 아프다 means your stomach hurts. That means my stomach hurts so much I'm going to die. So that's a different meaning than I'm hungry. Did someone use the 서 with past tense? Oh, I see. They deleted their message. Okay, yeah, you wouldn't want to use it with past tense. 배고파 죽을 지경이에요. Okay, yeah, nice. I think a lot of you guys got it. So, I'm starving to death. Well, in Korean, some expressions will end with 죽겠다, literally meaning I would die or I will die. No, those are really common ones. 배고프다, so 배고파, 죽겠다. You could also use like bored, but let's just focus on this. So 배고파 죽겠다 is a basic idiom that just says, oh, I'm so hungry, I would die, I could die. Or I will die, literally. But it's more like I could die. Oh, I'm so hungry, I could die. 배고파 죽겠다. Anything with this conjugated ending plus 죽겠다 is just, it's so something that I could die. Well, remember that you can also use 지경이다 with these sorts of negative verbs. So as a negative, I mean bad. These sorts of verbs that have bad meaning can also be used with 지경이다. So 배고파. Oops. Some of you also had 배고파서. That's fine too. What am I writing? I was like 배과. Why am I writing 과? 배고파 죽을 지경이에요. Okay. 배고파 죽을 지경이에요. Okay. So, I'm starving to death. Or 배고파서, you can also do 배고파서. I am hungry. 너무 배고파서, someone wrote. 너무 배고파서, like I'm so hungry that I think I'm going to die. That's more literal. Or you can just use 배고파 죽을 지경이다. Like I'm hungry to death. I'm starving to death. It's So either is okay. We'll just use this one. 배고파 죽을 지경이에요. So 지경, border. So we have this border. Well, what does the border have on it? So we're going into dying country. So you get all the way up to the dying country, but you don't enter. You're so hungry. 배고파 죽을 지경이에요. So you're so hungry that you get all the way up to here. So how would you translate that in English? I was so hungry, I was on the verge. I am so hungry, I am on the verge, since it's 이에요. I am so hungry, I am on the verge of dying. The circumstances are such that I am going to die from hunger. Or I am so hungry to the point of I will die. Or I'm so hungry, I will nearly die. Let me say, I am so hungry, I am nearly dying. Okay, maybe. Or I am so hungry to the degree that I could die. You can translate it any way like that. And then if you make a natural translation, you'd probably just say something like, I'm starving to death. Or I'm starving. I'm so hungry, I could die. That kind of thing. Or, I'm just going to die. I'm so hungry, I'm starving to death. Like that kind of thing, when you haven't eaten in 3 hours and you're stuck at home. Yeah, that's how everyone probably feels like, I'm so hungry. 배고파 죽을 지경이에요. I'm starving to death. Like that. Okay. Okay, next example. Let's bring out 철수 again. 철수는, so as for 철수, we're going to talk about 철수 for a bit. 철수는 지금, right now. 너무, notice here we have again. 너무, so much. This will come out a lot in these forms. 슬퍼서, because 철수 is so sad, well, what is he going to do? Remember that Saul, you have to use the same subject. So you can't say, 철수 is so sad, 슬퍼서, I am going to do something. You can't do that. You have to use 니까 if you wanted to do, therefore I will. So if you have Saul, it has to be the same subject. Just a reminder, you should be familiar with that for today's lesson, but just a reminder because it's a common mistake. So we're going to have 울다. 울 지경이에요. 지경이에요. Okay. So cry, 울다. Just here, we're going to have the crying country now. So what is it that you are so sad? You're so sad that you get all the way up to the crying country. But you don't cry. You just get right to the border. I nearly cried, right? Or I am nearly going to cry. I'm about to cry, right? I never said it could translate as about to. But here, about to could work, right? I mean, it wouldn't really work for I am so hungry, I'm about to die. Maybe. But here, about to cry is kind of a natural English expression. So here I think he's about to cry would sound okay. He's right on the border. He is on the verge of tears. If you want to look at, you can think of it that way. So 철수 is so sad that he's on the verge of crying, or he's on the verge of tears, or he's so sad to the point of, or to the extent that, to the degree that he's going to cry, or he's nearly going to cry, like that he's nearly crying, that kind of thing. So 철수는 지금 너무 슬퍼서 울 지경이에요. 철수 is so sad right now that he's on the verge of tears. He's so sad that he's about to cry. 철수는 지금 너무 슬퍼서 울 지경이에요. So 철수's so sad that he's on the verge of crying. Okay, I hope that these illustrations help. Okay, and one more sentence. Okay. 반찬. 반찬 is side dishes. So with your main meal, you get lots of all those little plates and bowls that come out along with your meal. Those are all considered 반찬. So 반찬이 얼마나? So how much? 많은지. So we're not going to be talking about this form today. 얼마나 많은지. So however much there are, something is unknown. Well, what is unknown? How much there are. So however much there are, 많은지, I don't know, or maybe I know, but I don't know, as far as we've gotten so far. 많은지, 한 one, let's do that. Yeah, 한 젓가락. So, 한 젓가락, literally one chopstick. But what that means is you can also use 한 숟가락. So, one spoon. 한 젓가락, one chopstick. What that means is one bite using your chopsticks or with your fork or your spoon or however you want to express it. So here we use one chopstick. So we would just say one bite. But you can say also one 젓가락. Or you can use it more literally, 한 입, one mouthful. But here, 한 젓가락. So one bite, one grab with a chopstick. 씩, each. Now I'm not teaching each for today. If I were to teach everything in this sentence, it would go too long. So each. So 한 젓가락씩만, only one bite each. So there are so many side dishes that only one bite each of them, ... something else. Well, what's going to happen? 먹어도, so even if you eat only one bite, one chopstick bite of each of these side dishes, 얼마나 많은지, however much there are, I don't know. 배가 부르다. 배가 I think that's all it is. Oh, there we go. Yeah. 부르다. So 부르다 to be full. 지경. 이에요. Okay. I'll just do that. Okay. I'm just going to put this up here. What do you guys think this means? Now, I'm not going to tell you. I just want to think, what would you translate this as? 반찬이 얼마나 많은지 한 젓가락씩만 먹어도 배가 부를 지경이에요. What does this mean? Go ahead and give it a try. Try to translate this. I think this is definitely a high intermediate sentence. Yeah, I can tell you what it means, but it'll really help more if you give your best. If you give it a shot first before I just tell you. I drank it through my wrong. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, chopstick full. Throw away. That's right. Chopstick full. Inanis? Inanis. You got it. Inanis got it. Inanis white. There's so many side dishes that even if you only had one bite from each, you'd still be almost full. Yeah, really good. Let's see what else you got. Suna. So many side dishes, even if I just eat one bite of each, I'd be full? Yes, perfect. Suna. However many side dishes you eat with one chopstick, you'll always be on the verge of starving. Nope, there is no starving here. 배가 부르다 means to be full. No matter how many side dishes there are, eating one chopstick of each will almost get you full. Perfect, the one and only. Very good. Only take one bite of each, I'll be almost full. So many side dishes, just one bite of each would make you full. Piper Daily, Binky, nice. Life Rhymes, yes. Carrie Rich, one family, still if you full. Ivy Rebecca, yes, yes. So many side dishes, eating one chopstick full of each, you'll be almost full. Yes, nice, nice job. Okay, so 반찬이 얼마나? 얼마나 normally is like how much of something is there. However much of something is. 얼마나 많다. Well, you can replace this with 정말. Really, if you're not understanding this 얼마나. 얼마나 is an adverb that's added to something with the G form that means however of it is. 얼마나 맛있는지. Like how good it is, you can never possibly know. That kind of thing. Just some sort of unknown amount. So however much of it there is, 많은지, so now it's G, it's unknown, something if, I don't know. So however much there is, I don't know how much there is, but however much there is, 한 젓가락씩만, only one chopstick full each. So if you were to just take one bite of each, 먹어도, so if you were to just eat one bite of each, 배가 부를 지경이에요. Just the last part, 배가 부르다, to be full. 배가 부를 지경이에요. The circumstances are such that right now, I'll just do this. Full. So you get all the way to here. So even if you just have one chopstick full of each item, you're going to get right here. You're going to be on the verge of being full or almost full, nearly full. So much that you'll be full. So you can think of it as like there were so many side dishes that even if I only ate one bite of each, literally one chopstick full of each, it is nearly enough to get full. Let's do is. Okay. All right. 반찬이 얼마나 많은지 한 젓가락씩만 먹어도 배가 부를 지경이에요. So there's so many side dishes that even if I were to just eat one bite of each, then I would be full. Like that. So just eating one bite of each would get you to this border between being hungry and being full. So then how do you translate being in that situation where you're right on the border? You're right on the verge of doing something. Well, it can sometimes translate as on the verge of. But in a natural sentence, it doesn't. It won't often translate as on the verge of. Like 90% of the cases, it'll sound awkward to say that. So you want to think of something better. So like almost or nearly, but you don't want to think about it as just meaning almost, because then you're going to misuse it with other forms. Because there are other forms that means, oh, I'm almost full, right? That's not how you would say. You could use that with 거의 or any other regular form. So this is to emphasize that your situation is currently on the border right before doing something else. That's what this form is used for. So focus on the literal meaning, and the natural English translation can then come after, once you've got that literal meaning. Okay. And again, also remember that it's for negative things. Some sort of negative verb, something that you don't really, not that you don't really want, but just something that's sort of extreme, something that's you need to emphasize. So it's going to be something bad most of the time. Okay. 46. Okay. 건물이 너무. So in the last sentence, just to reinstate, the bad thing for the last sentence wasn't just that you'll be full. It's not really a bad thing. It was that there were so many side dishes. So like there's so many side dishes here, and you're complaining about that. So it's like it's annoying to you almost. There's so many side dishes. Even if I only eat one of these each, I'm going to be full. That's what it's kind of about. So the negative meaning there is like saying there are so much of something. So you'll often see it again with 너무. So here we have 건물이, the building, 너무, so much. 높다, to be high. So the building is so tall. Oops. That's what I get when I'm thinking of 높아서 and trying to write 아서 at the same time and get all. 너무 높아서 하늘에 닿다. 닿다. 닿다 means to reach something. So 하늘, the sky. It's going to reach the sky. 지경이에요. Okay. Now you've seen it a lot with 이에요, but just know it's equally used with past tense. I'm just giving you lots of examples with 이에요. Okay, 건물이 너무 높아서, because the building is so tall. So the building is so tall, therefore 하늘에 닿을 지경이에요. So it is right on the border of touching the sky. 하늘에 닿다. I really wrote this wrong up here. I really wrote that all messy. You can't read that. Okay. 하늘에 닿다. So touching the sky. So it gets right up to here. The building is so tall that it is the current situation, the current circumstances are that this building is nearly touching the sky. So 건물이 너무 높아서 하늘에 닿을 지경이에요. So the building is so tall that it will nearly reach the sky. It's on the verge of touching the sky, right? Kind of literally. Or it's so tall that it touches the sky. That it touches the sky. That sort of meaning is okay to think of it too. whatever you feel is good for the example, whatever you feel naturally is a good translation for something. But I think that to the degree that is often a good way to think of it too, just to help you get a natural English translation. 건물이 너무 높아서 하늘에 닿을 지경이에요. So the building is so tall that it nearly touches the sky, or it will nearly reach the sky, or just say it practically is touching the sky. Although, it's not actually going past this border, but in an English translation, it's fine. I mean, we would say something does touch the sky, not that something almost touches the sky, but it depends how you want to translate it. So yeah, it's so tall that it's nearly touching the sky. Okay. We can do 2 more sentences. 철수는 okay. 너무. So too much. So some sort of negative thing. Well, you're complaining. What is 철수 too much? Well, here he is going to be too light. 가볍다 means to be lightweight, as in not heavy. So 가벼워서 he is so light. Therefore, 바람, wind. 바람이 불다. 불다 means to blow, like wind blows. So 바람이 불다. Wind is blowing. So if the wind blows, 바람이 불면, well, what is going to happen to 철수? So here, 철수 is so light that if the wind blows, well, he's going to fly away. 날아갈, so 날아가다, to fly away somewhere. 날다 meaning to fly. 가다, to go. So to fly and go, quite literally. So he's going to fly away. 지경이에요. So 철수 is so light that if the wind blows, he'll fly away. Or 철수 is so light to the degree that if the wind blew, he would fly away. Or if we don't translate it as to the degree that, but just translate it as that, just that. 철수 is so light that if the wind blows, he'll fly away. Or quite literally, 철수 is so light that he'll get all the way to here. If the wind blows, he gets all the way to here. He is on the verge of flying away. If the wind blows, you could think of it like that. Well, he's so light that he's on the verge of flying away just if the wind blows. Kind of like that. But I think that by itself works as a better translation for natural sentence. 철수는 너무 가벼워서, because 철수 is so light, he weighs so little. 바람이 불면, if the wind blows, 날아갈 지경이에요. So he's on the verge of flying away. So 철수 is so light that he'll fly away if the wind blows. 철수는 너무 가벼워서 바람이 불면 날아갈 지경이에요. So I guess he weighs like next to nothing. This is, maybe 철수's really skinny. He's like 25 pounds, 6 feet tall. Then you could say this. I really don't know anymore what 철수 would look like at this point. We put so many descriptors on him. He's been like the most handsome guy alive and like the weirdest person ever, the nicest person and the meanest person. Like a totally regular guy, but now he's like super skinny. So yeah, he's just kind of, he's everything. 철수 is everything we need him to be. Not the 철수 that we need, but not the 철수 we deserve, but the 철수 that we need. Something like that. Okay. 여자친구에게, so to my girlfriend, 여자친구에게, to 잘못, so something mistake, 잘못한 게, so 게 is 것이, things, so mistakes, so things I did wrong to my girlfriend, literally, or so many bad things, so many wrong things to my girlfriend. 너무 많아서. Again, 너무. Notice how 너무 appears 너무 often, really often. So there are so many things that I did bad, so many bad things that I did to my girlfriend. I made so many mistakes to my girlfriend. I just did so many mistakes to I made so many mistakes to my girlfriend that, therefore, 손, hands. 손이 발이 되도록. This is an idiom. You can just learn this as is. 손이 발이 되도록. 손, hands, 발, your feet. 되다, to become. 도록, so that. So that your hands become feet. Well, this is used because you're begging. So in Korea, and in fact in other Asian countries, how do you beg? Well, in English, in an American country, we might do it like this. Well, in Korean, you might do begging by bowing, right? You go down on all fours. In fact, so much that your hands become your feet because your hands are on the ground so much, you're begging. So this is just an expression to say, to beg. And it's used together with the verb 빌다. 빌다. 빌다 is to hope, to beg, like that. To wish for something. So, 손이 발이 되도록 빌다 means to hope for something so much that your hands become feet. Or just more naturally, to beg as if your life depended on it, right? Kind of like that. Just to beg so much. So, I'll change this. We're not going to use it in 빌다 form. Here it's going to be 빌어도. So even if you were to beg like your life depended on it, because I did so many bad things to my girlfriend, well, it's not going to be enough. 모자르다. 모자르다 means to not be enough. I don't really have any space, so I'm not sure where I'm going to write this. Let me rewrite this sentence down here because I don't have any space. 빌어도 모자르다. 모자를 지경이에요. I can do that. 에요. Okay. I know it's like barely on the screen. So hopefully you can read it. It's just 지경이에요. Okay. So 여자친구에게 잘못한 게 너무 많아서 because I did so many bad things to my girlfriend, or literally because there were so many things that I did wrong to my girlfriend, 손이 발이 되도록 빌어도. Even if I begged so much that my hands became feet, even if I begged as if my life depended on it, 모자르다, to not be enough, to be insufficient. 모자랄 거예요. It will not be sufficient. Well, here we have 모자랄 지경이에요. Not enough. So here our border is with to be not enough. So it's going, and it's not even enough. So it's not even at the point of being not enough. Or you can think of the situation, the circumstances are such that it will not be enough. It's on the verge of not being enough. So you are not doing anything. So it is not enough, basically, is what it's saying. Or you're begging so much to the degree that it's still not enough, if that makes sense. Think of this one as nearly. I think nearly might be a good translation. It's still not nearly enough. 여자친구에게 잘못한 게 너무 많아서 손이 발이 되도록 빌어도 모자랄 거예요. 모자랄 지경이에요. 손이 발이 되도록 빌어도 모자랄 지경이에요. So, I did so many bad things to my girlfriend that it won't be enough, even if I begged as if my life depended on it. Even if I begged until my hands became feet, it's not going to be enough. So, it's not nearly enough, if you want to use nearly as a translation. In this sentence, I think nearly works really well. So you're saying the circumstances you are in right now, are such that it will not be enough, even if you do that. Okay, does that make sense? I'm going to leave this on the board for a minute. We actually finished early. This is our last sentence for today. So I'm going to leave this on the board for just a minute. You can think about it and look at it. I'm going to check the chat for a bit. Okay. 버리다, to express emotion. Yeah, that's good. Full fortune. Yeah, 버리다 is used a lot. Third book, yes. Does it make sense? Sure. Could I form such a sentence on my own? Absolutely not. That's fine. If you're still a beginner or maybe low intermediate, this might make sense to you, but you won't be able to use it until you're able to use the regular beginning version. So if you couldn't make this sentence using 뭐 잘할 거예요, then you wouldn't be able to make the sentence using 지경이다. But at least you can recognize it. That you're talking about, you are at the circumstances are such that you are in this point. So the circumstances are such that it's not going to be enough. Okay. Not the charsu we want, but the charsu we need. Yes. Silent hero. The dark charsu. I don't remember the quote from The Dark Knight. Something like that. When will I get away from low intermediate prison? When you start doing a lot of exposure. When you really increase your exposure to the language. Then you will get out of the intermediate plateau. Otherwise, you will be stuck there forever. I wish I were joking. I know a lot of people who get stuck there. 너무 공부해서. No, you wouldn't want to use 너무. 너무 is too something. So you're saying too, if I study too, well, too what? Too hard, too long, too much, too slowly, too quickly. You have to have some sort of adverb in there that is to what it is that you're studying. Now, 너무 can be used to mean so much, but only a few situations, but not with general verbs like 공부하다. My brain is not gonna, yeah. It could be that. You don't have to make example sentences with this form. I would say try to use it though in your own, use it with pen pals, use it in your own language practice. It doesn't have to be like, when I say practice using the examples, it doesn't necessarily mean just make example sentences. That's what you have to do if you don't have anyone to practice with. The best thing to do would be just using this form in regular conversation, whether that's chatting, even just chatting online or writing an email, trying to incorporate this into any sentence. It doesn't have to be some fancy sentence. It could just be a quick reply to what someone said. So you could say, 진짜 지금 너무 배고파 죽을 지경이다. 죽을 지경이야. You know, whatever you want to say. You can just throw it into what you're saying. That's what you need. That's what you should do. It doesn't have to be a fancy long sentence like, you know, like these types of sentences I give you. These are just for illustrating. These sentences I give you are not just for illustrating a point, but for actually giving you like a real life example of how you might see it used. But you don't have to make these sort of long sentences because, you know, you'd have to be advanced. You'd have to be fluent to make sentences that are fluent. You just have to use it somehow. So that could be just, like I said, just 배고파 죽을 지경이야. 배고파 죽을 지경이에요. Whatever. Just throw that in. It's just a sentence, just a phrase. But using it will kind of get you used to the idea of what 지경 means and how to use the form in the future. And then if you later see it, someone else uses it in a certain way, pay attention to that. You're like, oh, I know that from my phrase, 배고파 죽을 지경이다. Okay. Then you'll be able to use it in more cases. It's just kind of like getting the ball rolling, starting to use forms on your own, not that you have to have them mastered, because you can't make the sentence right now because you haven't mastered this concept. I have, but I've seen this form used a million times. You have to learn it. You have to practice it a lot before you could even get to this point. So how do you start? You start with really short sentences just to get it out there, just so your brain will hold on to it and not throw it away, right? Because if not, you'll just forget this after today's lesson. So yeah, try to make really short sentences and try to throw these examples, try to throw these forms that we're using in every live stream into your regular daily Korean conversations, just in the most simple way. Just, you know, add it in there. Doesn't have to be a perfect sentence. Just throw it in there. You'll see these stuff used. So yeah, you'll get better at it. Just keep using it. All right. So that's our lesson for today, but we're going to have a Q&A in just a minute. We'll do a short Q&A just until 3:30. And then Talk to Me in Korean actually is going to do a live stream on their YouTube channel from 3:30. So I'm probably going to go there. I'm probably going to check that out too. So let's all go over there after this is finished. But some quick announcements again. So the worksheet for today's live stream is on Patreon right now, and the outline will be on Patreon. As soon as this live stream is finished, I'll post the outline there. So you can see all of the sentences we did today, as well as all the examples and translations and everything. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing next, make sure to follow me on the Discord channel. You can see I'm there like all the time. There's also new merchandise for this channel. If you want to support the channel another way, you can get t-shirts, or maybe you saw some of the new t-shirts that we have, or a hoodie. I actually got a new, where did I put it? Oh yeah, I got a new hoodie I can't wear it because I turned it inside out. I shouldn't have turned it inside out. Okay, anyway. Well, I turned it inside out, so you can't really see it very well. But I got a new hoodie in the mail the other day also. This was the one my favorite one is, it has this design on it. This is a famous design in Korea from old Korean textbooks. Used to have Charsu and Yongi on a sort of stamp that said 참 잘했어요. Exactly like this, but I remade it with me and KitKat. So I got that. That just came in the mail just, I think, earlier this week. Let me put this back. Okay. And yeah, there's lots of stuff like that. One more announcement, important announcement. So this is the last live stream of the season because I need to take a break. So that means next Sunday, there will be no live stream. And then the next Sunday, we'll be back. We'll do 3 more live streams after that. So yeah, kind of a false alarm. So I was just kind of like, originally I was going to take a 3-month break. But since my trip's kind of getting moved around, instead we're going to just take a 1-week break. And we're going to do 3 more live streams starting the next season. Kind of starting the next season, or maybe just an extended, some special episodes. So those will start in 2 weeks from today. So next Sunday, there will be no live stream. We'll just take our regular break as we do every 3 weeks. We'll take a break. So then we'll do 3 more after that. So we'll be back. So we're not taking a 3-month break. So you can see some more lessons. So make sure to pay attention to the voting post, which will go up a week from now. So not tomorrow, but a week from there, you'll see the voting again. Yeah. So I needed a break, so I'm taking a 1-week break. So that's it. Yeah. But then if I end up going to Korea, I'll keep you guys updated. If I end up going to Korea, we won't have these live streams. Instead, we won't have these live classes. Instead, I might do some live streams while I'm in Korea, but they wouldn't be these sort of prepared classes because these I can only do in the US. 10 sticker. Oh, did you do it? I didn't see it. Let me see. Hold on. Let me check. I got the super chat, but I didn't. Sticker didn't go through. Yeah, I didn't see the sticker went through because I can see the. It shows here the super chat went through, the $10 super chat that I saw, but then if I check for other ones, there were no other ones that went through. So I hope it didn't charge you twice. But anyway, I appreciate it. If you did and it didn't go through, then thank you. Thank you. I'll give you a tab regardless. For some reason, it only shows one of them, though. 너무 복잡해서 내가 폭발할 지경이에요. Oh, nice, Binky. 지경이다 is so complicated that my brain is on the verge of exploding. So my brain nearly exploded, you can say. 샘 방송 없는 거 소식을 들어서 죽을 지경이다. I'm on the verge of dying. I'm gonna die because I heard that your broadcast is gonna be gone. Okay. Yeah, I would check on that because it doesn't show that. Actually, let me check. Let me check the actual account because I can see exactly what came in and what didn't. So let's see. Let's see if it did and it just didn't post it. You said it was a sticker. Just one. Let's see. Super chat. Oops. Super stickers. Super chat. Yeah, the sticker never charged. At least it didn't go through. So maybe it just shows as pending, but it didn't actually go through. One of them did though. The $10 one did. If you did a second one after that, it didn't. But there is a $10 I see. Okay. So depressed since my Korean school is shut down. Yeah, that'd be really sad. 선생님 얼마나 잘 가르치는지 알았으면. Oh, in the past. Okay, 과거엔. 거의 유창하게 말할 지경 있을, not 있을, but 이다. Remember, it's not 있다. I would be on the verge of speaking almost perfectly. Okay, I get what you're trying to say. Oh yeah, Tegi, how do you pronounce oi? Okay. Oi is pronounced as oi. When oi comes at the beginning of a word, 의. When 의 comes at the end of a word, it's often pronounced as e. E. So like 주의, 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 주의. When it's used to mean the possessive marker, as in like apostrophe s, like 철수의 가방, 철수's bag. Well, it can be pronounced just as 의. And if you're speaking very slowly, like you want to be very clear when explaining something, you'll hear people still say 의. But most often, when it's used as the possessive marker, it's pronounced as 에. So something like 의사, 의사. Now, dialect words, people in dialect will often say this as e, whether it's at the beginning or the end of a word. But it's supposed to just be 의사, 의사, like a doctor, 의사. But you'll hear people just say 이사, 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 like that. And that's just dialect, but it's a very common dialect, so just be prepared that you can hear it pronounced as e, but supposed to be 의, just as it is. E, like that. But yeah, 에 when it's used as the possessive marker. So 철수의 가방 sounds much more natural than 철수의 가방. But they're both correct. Yeah, right now it's just a Q&A until 3:30 and then we'll stop. So feel free to ask any questions. Preferably related to the lesson, but it doesn't have to be. It can be any question. The verb 때문에, a lot of dramas. It's just 때문에. 때문에 is often used as 땜. 때문 becomes 땜. So you'll see 땜에, 땜이야, 땜이다, 때문이다, 때문에. So if you said in a drama you saw 때문에. Yeah, that's 때문에. 그 사람 때문에. And when they speak, they'll also do this too. But it's more of a casual usage. This is not formal, and you do not write this unless you're like chatting with a close friend. 그것 때문에, because of that. 그것 때문에, same thing. There are a lot, I mean a lot of shortened versions of words in Korean that you'll see. Another one. 처음, 처음에, 맨 처음에, 처음 만났을 때, 우리 처음 만났을 때, when we met, 처음 만났을 때. You'll see a lot of these, and people will write it like this too. So, yeah, there are a lot of things like that, but you can always check. If you look in Naver Dictionary, it'll show you the full version of all of those. So if you search 때문에, it should also show you 때문에. Do I watch Korean dramas? Nope. I almost never do. I watch some. Yeah, 너무? That's right. 너무 맛있어. 너무 맛있다. Oh, 너무 맛있어. Yeah, that's really common. 너무. As well as, you know, the regular ones. 나는, 난, 너는, 넌. Like that type of thing. 우리는, 우린. 오빤 강남 style. I think this is 오빠. 오빠 강남 style. Yeah, 오빤. But it could also be 오빤. 오빠는. Please find the lyrics for that. Does he ever say it like the other way? Yeah, 오빤. Yeah. I thought he did. I was like, am I imagining that he says 오빤? 오빤 강남 style is 오빠는. Like that. 오빠는 강남 style. Okay? I'm not singing the song. I was like, I could swear that he says 오빤. Okay. Which is the best website to learn Korean online? Website. Well, there aren't very many websites to learn Korean because most websites I've seen are pretty much just random lessons here or there, or it's like they're lessons but they're not in order, or they're lessons but they're not very good. Talk to Me in Korean is pretty good. So I would have to say just Talk to Me in Korean because they would have stuff in order and they have a lot of content. Other than that, I don't really know any other websites where you could go to learn Korean that would have like actual lessons in order other than Talk to Me in Korean. unless you're just talking about general blog entries where you can find a lot of websites that have just lessons about various things, but not actually in a curriculum. So I think Talk to Me in Korean is the only one that does that. And there are some websites that will have like grammar lessons that seem like they're in order, but they're not really in order. There's a lot of those. So I won't mention any specifically, but yeah. So I'll just say, talk to me in Korean. Can you share some insight into improving pronunciation, Daniel? I had a quick glance through your videos, and correct me if I'm wrong, you haven't addressed this before. Oh, I actually have. I've made 2 videos about Korean pronunciation. Check them out. I can talk about it here, but the videos, I give a lot of details for how to do that. So yeah, if you search pronunciation, you'll find some videos on my channel, Motivate Korean. Oh, Motivate Korean, they have some, for YouTube. Motivate Korean YouTube channel. Also, he has some videos about pronunciation for like specific things that are pretty good. On my channel, I have at least 2 videos for how to improve pronunciation. Love to see another raising a bilingual child type video. Yeah, that would be nice to do like an update, like 2 years later. What has changed or how are things going? If you're curious, since I filmed that video, 2 years ago with Hyunwoo. Was that 2 years ago or was that last year that we filmed that? I don't even remember. Was that last year or 2 years? Anyway, everything's still going good, just like the video. My kid still speaks Korean really well. So yeah, it's all working well. Last year. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember when I filmed the videos. It's all because I'm actually, most of you don't know, maybe some of you don't know this, but this teaching Korean shtick, this whole thing is full-time for me. And when I say full-time, I don't mean like 9 to 5. I mean like 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. I am doing something either related to making videos, because they do take a long time, making videos, preparing for live streams, doing live streams, setting, fixing equipment, upgrading equipment, everything that's related, answering emails, updating the website, all that stuff. So this is like a full-time thing for me. And what was I even going to say? Oh yeah. So it all becomes a blur. So sometimes I don't know if I filmed a video, if it was like 1 or 3 years ago, just because to me, it's like, I didn't take a break. I still keep doing stuff. So I don't really know when did it happen. So it feels like a while ago. So maybe a year. 지경이다 and 뻔하다. Well, I should have explained that in today's live stream because I talked about how it means to be at the border of doing something. 뻔하다 is not. 뻔하다 is, for one, it's used in past tense. So like I almost did something, nearly did something. And it's also used to show something's unintentional. Like I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do something, but I almost did something. I almost failed. I almost missed the bus. Kind of like that. And you're expressing sort of like your regret. Like, oh, I almost did it. I can't believe it. I almost did it, like that. Whereas this doesn't have any of that sort of context. So in some situations you can think, oh, I almost died or I was on the verge of death are similar, but they're not. I mean, similar, yes, but they're used in different situations. They're conjugated differently. 뻔하다, 지경이다. This one's more of like a on the verge of or so much that. This also shows an extent. So in some situations they have similarities, but they're not like compatible forms. 하마터면. Not for today's lesson. That would be a completely different lesson today. How old were you when you started learning Korean? It's a good question. I've kind of learned a little bit of Korean since I was 16, but I never really got into it much until I was 18, I believe. Yeah. Because I really got into it when I was, that would have been 2015 spring, summer was when I really got into it. But I had learned some simple Korean before that. And if you're wondering, it was just like swear words and some common slang and stuff. It wasn't really learning Korean before then. But yeah, when I was 18, I got my first book, which I've already shared before. So this isn't anything new. But yeah, this was my first Korean book. It's terrible. Do not get this book. I think you can even still find it. Yeah, don't buy it. And yeah, and I didn't even get very far from that. So yeah, I think most of my Korean study happened when I was actually in Korea. And because I had a lot of time to practice and I quickly made a lot of Korean friends. So yeah. In the US, though, I didn't really have a good course. There were not any courses for learning Korean. They just did not exist. If you wanted to learn Korean, you had to go to a college class. There were no college classes near me that taught Korean. There were no websites for learning Korean. There were some random blogs here or there, but this was like 2005. YouTube didn't even exist. There were no channels, no online creator channels. So, and there was nothing free. So even if you paid money for courses, like I think Pimsleur had a course or something at the time, you weren't really going to get a good experience. Like, only audio tapes. I didn't want that. I wanted to actually learn the whole language, writing too. So yeah, there was just nothing. So I did the best I could, and it took a long time. So yeah. Panhada. Panhada is not related to these forms. Panhada could be like to fall for something. Wait, did I say 2015? I meant 2005. I might have been thinking the 5 and thought if I said 2015, I meant 2005. So I don't know what I said, actually. I was just thinking 2-5. So yeah, YouTube didn't exist. Yeah, 지경이다. Yeah, Tiffany, same idea. That's one way to look at it. If you just look at it in English, they can both mean like almost in some situations, and they can both mean nearly. But in literal translation, they have nothing to do with each other. 타는 거? 는 거? Well, Alexandra, I think you should probably relearn those forms because they are not related. I mean, it's not something that you would normally get confused because they're... unless you give me a specific situation in which you're talking about. But just in general, 타는 거, or just 는, well, that's the exact same thing, just this one has the quoting. Quoting form. So the fact that someone did something, or just someone did something, they're not really the same forms though. I did a live stream already about how to use quoting forms. And I also did a live stream about how to use this 는 form where I talk about how to change action verbs into adjectives. So please watch those first and then come back and ask me the question again and give me some details about what you mean. And I can answer it better for you because just with this, I can't really answer that question because they can have different meanings depending on what you're talking about. Like I'm not sure exactly the question you're asking, so I'm not sure how you want me to explain how these are different. But they don't work anyway. They don't work the same. So yeah, please watch my live stream about quoting and my live stream about changing action verbs into adjectives. And then think about the question and ask it again. And then I can explain it better. Because then I'll be able to explain it to you better and it'll make more sense. Whereas if I just try to explain it now, I might explain the wrong thing something that you're not really wondering about. Okay. 마침내, sort of like in the end, ultimately. I could do a lot. It would be part of a live stream to have to teach because you'd want to teach 마침내 as well as 결국 and a few other related forms like that. It's never too late to learn. If you're going to say that you're really old, well, I would not be surprised. I know lots of people who start learning Korean in their 60s. Someone sent me an email actually last year, said he was like 75 and just started learning Korean. And he already can make sentences, like learned for like a couple years and he's like writing Korean sentences and speaking basic Korean and stuff. So yeah, no, if that's what you're going to say, yeah, it's never too late to start learning Korean, really. The point is that as long as you can get plenty of time to practice. 7:30 a.m. Please do some more examples. There are more examples of today's form in the worksheet. So there's like 8 more examples. So make sure to check that out too. Why did you choose to learn Korean? Well, I didn't. I chose other languages first. So you might be like, why did you pick Korean? Why didn't you pick, other language? Well, I did French first, and then I did Japanese, and then I thought Korean seemed cool, so I did Korean. And then after Korean, I didn't stop. I did Mandarin and then Cantonese, which I don't use anymore, so those are mostly out of my mind now. But the one that I got the best at, because I spent time in Korea, was Korean, obviously. Whereas the other ones, I never went to France. I never spent a lot of time in Japan. I went there a few times, but I never lived there. So I got the best at it of my other languages. I had a lot of friends there, so I thought naturally, let's just keep going. Like, let's keep up learning Korean. And because Augustus says Korean is the best. I know I'm not your only student over 50. No, you are not my only student over 50. You are not alone. "75-year-old dude, you rock." Yeah. And I'm sure there are older people. Obviously there's going to be more people who are young because a lot of people start learning due to K-pop. And K-pop usually attracts the younger crowd more than the older crowd. Not to say that older people don't like K-pop, but more younger people like K-pop. So you get a lot more people learning Korean who are very young, but that doesn't mean there aren't people older learning Korean. There have been people learning Korean older than 50 since when I first started learning Korean. There have been people who have been starting to learn Korean for other reasons anyway. So yeah, the whole learning Korean because of K-pop and K-dramas is a brand new thing that never existed when I was learning Korean. Nobody I knew was learning Korean because of Korean music or Korean TV shows or Korean movies in 2005. It did not exist. So one of my other best friends in Korea, he also was learning Korean around the same time, or actually before me even, I think. And same thing, he didn't know about K-pop or anything. It didn't exist. Like, there was Korean pop, but there was no K-pop. It was just, oh, this is pop music and they're singing in Korean. Like, that was pretty much it. It wasn't like a big industry like it is today. Tut, Daffy Duck. That's a great question. I would love to explain tut in a full 2-hour long live stream. Yes. But if you want a 5-second explanation, tut, it seems like. There you go. Seems like. You'll see it a lot, but I would have to do a full live stream about this because it's got a lot of uses. You'll see it all over the place. tut. 그럴듯하다. Yeah. 갈 듯, 안 갈 듯. 할 수 있을 듯. Yeah, all those things. And then tut used with other grammar forms too. So yeah, it goes all over the place. 하듯이. 하듯이 would be a little bit different. Like something happens. As like you do something. So just like you do something. 하듯이, as you would do something. But yeah. How do you stop translating in your head? What do you mean? Oh, I don't translate in my head. That will stop when you're able to have a conversation. When you start talking in Korean, even at the beginner level, when you are talking in Korean, your brain will not translate because it's too hard for your brain. Your brain would much rather shut off its English and just use Korean to make your sentences. That will happen at around usually the intermediate level when you start talking in Korean. Even though your Korean will not be very good when you're speaking, when you are speaking in Korean, your brain does not like translating. It's way too stressful. So as much as possible, if your brain can, it will automatically say, turn off English. It'll say, okay, let's stop thinking English for a bit until we need it. Hold it off here. I'm going to speak in Korean. Oh, there's a Korean word I can't think of. Can I describe it in Korean? No. Okay, now let's see if I can think of it in English. And then you think of it in English, and then you try to translate that into Korean. So that's how your brain will work. But you're not going to be, it's not something that you choose. It's not like, oh, well, now, I'm not going to think in English anymore. I'm just going to think in Korean. It's not something that you choose. And it's not something that magically happens either. Like, wow, one day I was thinking in English and the next day I was only thinking in Korean. When you're speaking Korean anyway, once you become able to make sentences on the fly, even though that's slow, doesn't matter. Your brain is not going to translate from English. It is way too hard for your brain to do that. Every single sentence. You cannot do it. Your brain's going to be, okay, forget this. You're going to speak Korean very simply because you can do it. I'm going to make you do this. If it doesn't work, your brain will pull back your English. So if you're still in that stage where you can't yet even make basic sentences, you're going to be using Korean and English. You're going to be translating all the time. But once you become able to just have basic sentences in Korean, you're not going to think in English. So when I speak in Korean, people are like, oh, are you thinking in English? No, I am thinking in Korean because that's way easier on my brain. So it becomes easier to do that. It's not like magic. It's not like you don't have to be talented to do it. Really? You just have to practice speaking and you'll get there. It's not a magical thing. Everyone I know who speaks Korean to any level thinks in Korean while they're speaking it. There's nobody I know who is thinking in English and speaking in Korean. At least not at any sort of reasonable speed. It doesn't work. 만약에 내가 한국말로, like if you try to do this, it doesn't work. It's hard for me to think in English, but speaking Korean, it doesn't work. Your brain will be like, no, I got this, like that. And when that starts to happen, when you start getting into that intermediate level, you'll even dream in Korean. And you might think like, wow, I'm getting fluent. Yeah, you are, slowly. Your brain is now accepting that you have this other language that you can work in. And you'll think in Korean, you'll dream in Korean, but only when you're trying to speak Korean. You're not going to like forget your English. That never happens with anyone. You'll always be an English speaker as long, or whatever your native language. You'll always be that. That's your native language. But your brain will have this little hallway, this little drawer that it puts the Korean into. And when you go in there, it's only that language. So that's how it works. You kind of make compartments with different languages. And people who do multiple languages do the exact same thing. You think, well, how do they not mess up their languages all the time? Because it's in their brain, it's like a separate compartment. Like you go into that hole, there is that language. Well, you don't see English anymore. You're in this hole. So what can I do with these little tools in this hole? Well, I can do this. And if you find something you can't do, well, then you crawl out and you grab some English and you go back inside. Like that's how it works. And people who do multiple languages will do the same thing. You just make little compartments. And that's not something you have to magically do. It's just something that will happen when you start practicing speaking using that language. Which is why so many polyglots emphasize using the language that you're actually learning. In Korean too, you have to practice. You have to use what you're learning, not just focus on grammar, not only focus on listening, but using it actually. I dreamed in Korean once, but it was all gibberish. Yeah, that's happened to me too. Sometimes I'll dream in Korean also, and then the Korean I'm speaking is like garbage. Like not wrong Korean, but like it makes no sense. I'll be like talking about like, what was it? I had one weird dream like a few weeks ago where I was like speaking in Korean. I was talking about like some monkeys like diving or something like that. Like made no sense. Like what am I doing? But it'll happen. You might not be like, or sometimes you'll have a dream in Korean. You speak really, really well. Whatever. I had a dream about Jungkook. Is that dreaming in Korean? No, it's not. 커피 드시죠. Okay, the secret to actually learning foreign language is want to learn the language. Yeah, that really is the secret of learning a language. But don't tell anyone. You see like polyglots. So this is the thing. So I know a lot of polyglots. They are normal people. Okay? If anything is different about a polyglot than a regular person, it's that they are really interested in learning multiple languages. They enjoy it. That's it. Are they smarter than other people? No. Some of them are, just like regular people. Some of them are really smart. Some of them are kind of normal. They just really like those languages. Like, you have a hobby that you really enjoy. Maybe you really like getting good at video games, right? So you get really good at video games. Well, do people think you're a genius for getting really good at video games? No. I mean, unless you're like insanely good, then maybe people will think you're really smart. But usually it's just, that's what you're interested in. So that's what you do. And you spend a lot of your time doing it. So if you really want to learn Korean, you're going to learn Korean really well, whether you're smart or not. I don't mean like smart or dumb. I mean, whether you're especially smart or just completely normal, you're going to learn it. You want to learn it, so you're going to push yourself to practice it. Whereas other people would be like, it's too much work. You're like, no, I really want to learn it. Oh, it's hard, but I really want to learn it. That's what happens. And then you learn it, right? So the polyglots that I know, they are hardworking people because they want to learn those languages. And then they know what it takes to do it. They know what they have to do in order to learn those languages. Well, I have to practice, obviously. I have to study, obviously. I have to take away my time, sit down at the book, open books and study. And they do it because they want that. Talk to Me in Korean is live now. Yes. Okay, I will stop my live stream. Let's all go over to Talk to Me in Korean's live stream now. I've talked too much today. Thank you for coming, everyone. And I will see you guys again next time. Remember, no live stream this next week, but I will see you again the week after that. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. let's see. Okay, let's see. Maybe I can, maybe the rain stopped. I think I can move my, I think I can move this thing back. I think I can move my board back. Hold on. Just ignore this. Moving the board back. Okay. All right, yeah, I think I moved. Okay, I moved the board back out. Yeah, it stopped raining. This is so wonderful, guys. Wow, it stopped raining. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, guys. This is so dumb. Okay, thank you everyone for coming. See you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Okay. I don't know what I'm